Hi, this is Frank Turner, and you are lucky and wise enough to be watching Alex Alicia Media on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Alex Alicia. Welcome back to 2000 Trees Festival 2024. I'm very excited because joining me right now is the incredible Frank Turner.
Hi, how you doing? That was a lovely intro.
It's deserved. It's definitely well deserved. I want to say to you, actually, welcome back. You are no stranger to trees.
Yes.
How does it feel coming back here year after year?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I played the first one in, I think, 2007, although don't quote me on that. And James, who runs the festival, and I have been friends since then, and I just love this festival, you know. It feels like, to the extent that what I do fits into any scene, which, you know, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but if it does, it's this one. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there's a real family vibe here. I always see a lot of friends. I mean, I've been here so many times. Somebody asked me earlier how many times I played here, and I genuinely don't know. But about 7 at a guess. So yeah, you know, it's definitely, it feels like home turf.
Yeah, almost a Trees performance for every album, almost.
Actually, well, if you count because I usually do more than one show when I'm here, so I've definitely done enough for each album. He said. I promise, yeah.
Always breaking the records, aren't we?
Oh, good lord, yes, yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute, of course. But I want to talk to you about the incredible evolution of your musical journey. I know it's like one of those things for you where you're one of those artists that does not just stick to a singular genre. You've gone through all sorts of different, you know, paths in your musical career. At the moment, we've got that lovely, like, punk kind of like soul as well, a lot of indie stuff, obviously rock as well. Honestly, you've done it all, and obviously at the very beginnings of your career, I know your fans were very shocked when you changed from where you'd originally come from. Do you feel like that gives you so much creative freedom, and does that make you really happy to be able to, you know, do what makes you happy?
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of sounding a little bit highfalutin, I feel like as an artist, you have a duty to at least consider the possibility of change. I don't want to repeat myself. I'm not really interested in that. I mean, you know, at the same time, Pennywise and AC/DC are great bands, and they plough their furrow, and good for them. But you know, I don't want to just tread water or whatever. And it's a huge privilege that this is my living. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm so grateful for that, and try and be appreciative of the space I occupy and all that. But like, you know, in some ways, it's one of the advantages of being a solo artist, in the sense that, like, I suppose people can kind of say, I'm trying to think of a good example, like AFI changed their music drastically or whatever. I mean, actually, I think AFI can do whatever the fuck AFI want to do. But nevertheless, it's like, it's my name. It's literally my name. And it's like, this is the music I'm currently making. What are you going to fucking do about it? Do you know what I mean? So there is a degree of kind of liberation in that. And, you know, I mean, I want to push the boundaries to some kind of, I mean, I'm not fucking Aphex Twin, do you know what I mean? So experimental within the context of my oeuvre, however you want to put it. But like, you know, and some of those kind of forays have been more successful than others, and I feel very good about where I'm at right now. But at the same time, like, you know, in the process of all of that changing, there's never a sense of disavowing anything I've done in the past, you know what I mean? So it's like, I like playing the old songs. I like playing acoustic shows that are more kind of folky or whatever. That's fun. I mean, why not? I mean, in fact, I'm doing 3 shows today, and they're all going to be different.
Oh, that's amazing, and that's great for the fans as well. It keeps them guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I think about not too much, but I think about what I do a little bit from the point of view of the audience. I mean, ultimately, you know, I'm pursuing my own creative agenda, but like, you know, when I'm writing a set list or whatever, it's kind of like, yeah, how do I keep people happy, keep them interested and engaged and entertained?
That's amazing though, Frank. You're considerate, but also doing what you love to do, and that's great. You know, what about like longevity as an artist? I think you are someone that we can definitely ask this question to, and you might be able to speak on this with a bit of authority. Do you think that change in the genres and doing what's true to you is the key to longevity as an artist?
I think it's one of them.
Yeah.
It's an option. I mean, I have been doing this for a while. It's worth saying that every single musician I know has a sort of sense in the back of their mind that it might all go away tomorrow. Which is kind of ultimately is sensible, I think, because it is a fickle business. I mean, I've been, in one form or another, I've been doing it for 26 years now. It's a long time. And I mean, at the point where I have to go and get another job, there's a big gap in my CV. Do you know what I mean? But like, and I'm very, I mean, I have a long career. I've done 10 albums as a solo artist, and I've been touring for a long time, and I've done nearly 3,000 shows. But like, I'm very grateful for it. In some ways, I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask as to why it is I've got a long career, because I've just tried to focus and be creatively honest. But then maybe that's the answer to the question, actually. Do you know what I mean? At a certain point, it's you have a long career because you keep making music that people are interested in. And for that, I don't want to examine that too much. Do you know what I mean? It's just I'm grateful for it. Bloody hell! But like, I don't want to start picking apart. I think that's a real risk for anybody who's a writer, actually, is trying to deconstruct why one thing you did well, because part of the reason it did well is because you hadn't deconstructed it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like killing a frog by dissecting it or whatever. Not a thing I do, by the way. But you know what I mean? It's sort of like you can kill something by thinking about it too much. And when I first started, I sat in a room with a guitar and like, what's a cool song go like? And that is still what I do on some levels.
Well, I mean, like, for you, like you say, 10th album, that's a lot. So, you know, how do you feel like, personally, I know this album's complete and I'm ready to release it? Is it a feeling thing? Are you looking for something in particular? Like, you know, how do you always think, right, this is it? This is the barometer of how I measure that this is done and ready?
That's a good question. T.S. Eliot once said that poems are never finished, they're only ever abandoned, which I quite like. I mean, having said that, like, generally speaking, it's different album to album. To pick the obvious example of my most recent record, more so than most, I had a very, very clear feeling. It's quite indistinct, but I just had this feeling in my head of what the album went like, and then we set to work, you know, bridging the gap between sitting in a room with a guitar with no songs and then a finished thing. Do you know what I mean? You know, I produced it myself. It's the first time I've done that, which is really cool. And there is definitely, you know, there is a skill to taking things away. There's a song on the new record called Somewhere Inbetween where the arrangement was not right for ages, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was working through the recording session, and eventually I just tried muting my guitar, and I went, there it is! Like, yeah, what I needed to do was less, you know, and that's a skill hard learned, I would say, is that, you know, sometimes it's quite easy to pile more stuff on. It's missing something, and maybe sometimes we're just missing is space. But, you know, I mean, we reached a point where it was like, I mean, I guess in some ways my creative directive at any point is to do the best I can at a given moment in time. And I did, you know, there was finally a day where I was like, yeah, I think we're there with this one. So, and then I sent it off to get mixed or whatever. So.
Special though as an artist to get to that point where, you know, you're on your 10th album and you know, does it get any easier?
Some bits get easier and some bits get harder. I would say that, like, to the extent that what I do is part skill, part art, art and craft, maybe, let's say. The craft side of it, in many ways, gets easier because it's like I know how to arrange a song these days. I know how to get rid of stuff when it's required. I know how to, you know, communicate with my band about what I want, and indeed, in many cases, let them throw some stuff down because they're all brilliant players. You know what I mean? And we have a rule in the rehearsal room: the song wins the argument, right? And so the kind of the craft side of it does get easier with practice. I mean, you'd hope so. Do you know what I mean? But then, you know, in some ways, the songwriting part of it does get harder simply because the low-hanging fruit is gone. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've used that chord sequence. I've written my song about touring, and I've written a breakup album, and don't need another one of those. And with this directive, as I say, that I'm not trying to repeat myself. But it's so, you know, it's sometimes finding that initial spark of what am I going to write about gets a little, you have to dig a little deeper for that at a certain point. But again, I mean, the way I'm talking about all this makes it all sound very calculated, and it's not really. It's more just a case of like, I kind of waft through the world and then kind of ideas hit me and I'm like, hooray, that's good, we'll use that. So.
I want to congratulate you though on that single you just mentioned, Somewhere Inbetween. It's stunning. It's really beautiful. It really is. I know that it's very personal to you lyrically as well. You talk a lot about like imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. I mean, many things that people can probably relate to, and I just want to know, like, from a songwriting perspective, it's cathartic, right, being able to do that, but is it scary to put out something so personal to the world?
Yeah, terrifying. And I have this thing that it's a bit pretentious to call it a technique, but like there's this thing that I do when I'm writing. If I write a lyric that I call it the wince, if I write a lyric that makes me go then it's like, keep it in. You just provoked a reaction in yourself. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, I write cathartically, I write confessionally, you might say, always have done, and so, you know, in some ways what I do is very public therapy, and I apologise for that. But like, you know, you sort of hope that other people might connect with it at a certain point. But yeah, you know, it is scary sometimes when you're tracking the vocals, or sometimes you're finishing mixing an album and you kind of go, what am I doing? Like, do you know what I mean?
People are gonna hear this. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was a song on Tape Deck Heart called Plain Sailing Weather that, like, it's basically a song about me being a prick, and I was nervous about putting it out into the world for lots of different reasons. And then you reach a point where it's like you got a room full of people singing along with it. It's like, are you singing along with it because you empathise with me, or because you agree that I'm a prick? I mean, do you know what I mean? It's like, which road have we gone down here? But like, Somewhere Inbetween is like, I mean, it's one of my favourite songs I ever wrote, and it took some doing. Because there was a real sense, and they went through a number of drafts. Some of the songs I write don't go through that many drafts, so that one it was like go harder, go deeper, go harder, go deeper. And I played it for my buddy Rich from the band Pet Needs, who was the first person I played it to. And
I interviewed him yesterday.
yeah, he's actually sadly no longer in the band, but he was that old bass player. Pet Needs are amazing, brilliant band. But Rich is no longer with them. But anyway, I played it to him in the car, and he probably was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. He was like, are you sure you're putting that out, sort of thing? And I was like, yes. And then I was like, wait. But no, I mean, it's every song is an attempt to say exactly what you mean about a certain thing, and that sounds simple, and it is literally the least simple thing in the world. You know, and I'm a words person, and I spend lots of my life thinking about words, and to find a way to say exactly what you mean is a real challenge, and particularly if it's something that you're conflicted about or that is quite painful or whatever. And I think that song says exactly what I intended it to say, and that is not always the case.
Well, I think it's beautiful. Really, congratulations. And I mean that from the heart as well. It's lovely. And anybody who hasn't listened to it, please go check it out. Obviously, show-wise, though, we're at Trees right now. But after this, you're going out on another headline tour. Yes. And then, obviously, Alexandra's Palace, we're going to talk about this. The 3,000th show. Yeah. Wow, milestone and a half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a funny thing because obviously for some levels, I mean, who cares? It's a number taking over. But it's an excuse for a party. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny, like, when I started counting my shows at the beginning, because the drummer in my old band started counting the shows in my old band, and at the time I thought he was mental. And then when the band broke up, I was really grateful he'd done it, because we had a record. And also the first 3 years of touring I did, I was on my own, so on the train, do you know what I mean? And it was like, I want to keep a record of this. People are quite bad at estimating their parts. A friend of mine, who shall remain nameless, but who was in a band, he was like, yeah, we probably did like 5,000 shows. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You toured for 3 weeks a year for about 5 years. What the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, flags. But like, so I kept this list. When we did show 1,000, I booked a party in a car park in Shoreditch. And I told my friends who were organising it with me that I'll show 1,000. They were like, 1,000 what? And it's my 1,000th show, and they were like, how could you possibly know that, and how could that possibly be true? So I showed them the list. It's on my website for those who doubt me. And
you have a list where you like literally like a tally chart or something.
Yeah, it's on my website. There's a bit called archive, and every single one, it's today will be, so it's 2014, 15, 16. But like, so yeah, and then show 2,000 was a big deal, because in between 1,000 and 2,000 I started kind of name checking the show number on stage, and then we did a like live DVD of show 2,000, all this shit, and then show 3,000. The first time somebody asked me where and when it was going to be was 1 week after show 2,000, and I said, could you piss off? Like, give me a minute, do you know what I mean? 1,000 shows takes a long time. If you played every day, it would take you 3 years. But yeah, show 3,000, and we're at Ali Pali, which is a venue that I love, which I've played a few times before, but this one sold out in 24 hours, which made me feel popular. And there are people travelling from all over the world for it, which is cool.
Oh, well, big congratulations to you. Since you've had such a long career with many highs, many things going on, if you had to write an autobiography, what do you think the title of your Frank Turner autobiography would be?
Why am I still doing this? No, I don't know. I mean, I wrote a sort of touring memoir about a few years on tour a few years ago, which people seem to enjoy. And people have asked me, but it was very much focused on tour, and it was focused on 2005 to 2012. I think that to write an autobiography, you either have to be quite old or have won an international war. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe sports tournament, I suppose. But do you know what I mean? I'm not sure that. I think.
Hypothetically, if you were gonna though, what would be the title?
I mean, I think Why Am I Still Doing This is quite good. I will say that Benjamin Franklin, the American philosopher is one of my sort of intellectual heroes, and he was too busy to finish his autobiography. And I think that is a fantastic testament to a life well lived, personally.
Iconic. Yeah. Very iconic indeed. Yes. Of course, last question for you before I let you go, because I know you're doing the rounds. Have you got a wonderful message that you would like to send out to all of your fans, followers, audience? Anything you want to let them know or say to them?
Pineapple on pizza's an abomination. First Corn album still slaps. No, I mean, thank you for anybody who's paid attention to what I do at any point, and I will be touring a lot in the foreseeable future, and I hope to see you at a show.
Yes. Thank you so much, Frank Turner. It's been a pleasure. Lovely to meet you.
It's been a pleasure. I've done about 100 interviews today, and this is my favourite one.
Shush!
Yeah.
No, you're just saying it.
Really, I have not said that to anybody else here.
Thank you.
True story.
Frank Turner, everyone.